I did it 2 days in a row. I knew I forgot to do something before the show started. There. Pull the friggin' starting soon banner away. Apologies for 9:06. I got caught in the green room talking to our first guest. So no dilly, no dally zone. Since I'm officially a minute late, we're bringing Lucas. Morning, dude.
Morning. How's it going, John?
Let's see. No more Atlanta United and no more Nashville SC. So we both get to talk about all the other teams and reminisce about what's going on with the teams that we cover. For the record, John here, Lucas there. Lucas is batting leadoff this morning. I am in the suburbs of Chattanooga, Tennessee, because of a press conference that our friends at Chattanooga FC, and I mean this because Lucas and I can actually say friends at Chattanooga FC. And press conference later today. It is big news, and apparently they're saying that there are going to be muckety-mucks and dignitaries and press conferences, and you've got to be into a conference room by a certain time so they can close the door behind you, and a very busy day here in Chattanooga. But that's later. Morning, Lucas.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, we are a few weeks into the MLS postseason, and teams are officially home, and then in about a week and a half's time, we'll have an MLS Cup champ, it feels like.
Yeah, and I know that I wanted to bring you on to talk about Nashville, and from 30,000 feet, now that you've had a couple of days to sit there and kind of just chill a little bit and go, okay, season's over. What happened in the playoff series? So what happened in the playoff series?
Well, more of the same from Nashville's late regular season matchup with Orlando. I mean, they played Orlando 3 times in the last month of the season, and all 3 1-0 results in favor of Orlando. Every game you went into it with pretty much the same philosophy. It's kind of that race to the first goal, and Orlando won that race. In the playoff game, they won it exceptionally early in the 6th minute with the Nashville giveaway in the defensive third. Ivan Angulo pounces on it, catches a deflection on the way, and Orlando's on the board. So it was certainly a deflating start for Nashville with so much emphasis on starting strong and the first 20 to 30 minutes. Then, boom, everybody's kind of stunned 6 minutes in, and Nashville's kind of chasing the rest of the way. And ultimately, Orlando, who I think finished the regular season as one of, if not the hottest teams in the league, move on and will face Columbus after Columbus eliminates Atlanta in what I'm sure will be a really fun Eastern Conference semifinal coming up this weekend. But, yeah, for Nashville, I think a lot of the same issues that they ran into post-Leagues Cup kind of reared their ugly head in the postseason.
When you look at Nashville, obviously, I think Tom Bogert had the stat that it was 6 of your last 7 or 6 of your last 8 where Nashville did not score and put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, a concern. The interaction that you've had with the fan base, what's it been like? Where is the DEFCON level here with this group?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's mixed feelings about the season as a whole, because there's no question that when you take a step back, big picture, that Nashville accomplished something great this season in qualifying for CONCACAF Champions Cup with that Leagues Cup final run. But obviously, there are going to be concerns from the fan base with the way that things ended, and I'm sure they're going to want to see over the next couple of months things being done to address those issues in front of goal, that clinical edge that Nashville just did not have for the final few weeks of the year, that they had it in spurts in the midst of the summer and MLS regular season play, and of course during Leagues Cup. So it feels like, John, this team is close when it comes to being able to accomplish something, being able to secure that first trophy in club history with the foundation that's set, the defensive pedigree that didn't really waver all season long, and just trying to find that spark, trying to find a way to where this team can continue to build around Hany Mukhtar in the attack without being as reliant on Hany Mukhtar in the attack as they have been. And we saw a little bit of that in Leagues Cup with Sam Surridge coming off the bench and just the immediate impact that he had, scoring 3 goals in his first 3 appearances in that tournament. And then he gets hurt in Atlanta the first game after Leagues Cup, takes some time to battle back from that injury. He's certainly playing through it. So I do think that's a big part of this for Nashville going into 2024, the first full season of Sam Surridge, the designated player, the forward from Nottingham Forest, who didn't get the benefit of a full preseason with this team, kind of go straight from the Premier League gauntlet straight into MLS play in the thick of things in the middle of the summer. So he'll get a chance to get healthy. He'll get a chance to get a full preseason under his belt. And then we'll see what other additions and sort of auxiliary tweaks Nashville makes along the way, because you're playing a lot more games in 2024 than you did in 2023 if all goes well.
You're reading my notes. That's my follow-up question coming up here in a sec. Lucas Panzica, play-by-play voice on the radio side for Nashville SC, at Lucas Panzica on the Twitters, hanging out with us on the 280 character app. It's at Lucas Panzica. I can't say Twitter anymore. So at the
I still do.
280 character app, he's at Lucas Panzica, and we're going over everything in Nashville and the Eastern Conference. So, you mentioned trying to find complementary pieces for the attack. You mentioned Sam Surridge and having him for a full training camp, bringing him in. How much turnover are you anticipating when it comes to rosters? What are we looking at with contracts? And our friends at Transfermarkt are usually pretty solid about those kinds of things. But how much turnover are you looking for here?
I think a healthy amount. Well, it'll be interesting because there are a few players, the likes of Dan Lovitz, whose contract is up with Nashville this season, and there are foundational players like Walker Zimmerman and Hani Mukhtar that are set in stone for the future to come for Nashville. So I think the foundation will remain very stable with Gary Smith and with this roster. And it'll be really interesting. Shaq Moore on that right side, not going anywhere as far as his contract is concerned. Jacob Schaffelberg will continue to be a building piece for this attack as he came into this past season with a brand new contract. So I don't think that there will be an overhaul by any means, but it'll be interesting which areas of the field Nashville chooses to address most aggressively when you consider, obviously, the need for goal scoring and supplemental scoring beyond just Hani Mukhtar. How much of that will they look to 2024 and say, okay, well, Sam Surridge, that'll kind of continue to be the expectation. So I wonder if the club will look at it as, okay, adding more goals directly to this lineup, or is it adding more to the buildup and in a midfield and Anibal Godoy and Dax McCarty, that, Sean Davis, that certainly has helped build that foundation for Nashville, but obviously aren't getting any younger. So that's something that they'll look to in 2024 as well. But I would not expect anything close to an overhaul, John, where I think this club feels it's very much headed in the right direction as far as the foundation and the base of the roster. But it will be very interesting where they choose to attack it most aggressively. And that is something that I don't think has been answered yet.
End of the calendar year, it's decisions on McCarty, Willis, Fafa Picault, Jack Mayer, Taylor Washington, Lawrence Wyke, who is in Tampa, Elliot Panico, Lucas McNaughton, Hawkinson, and Ahmed Longmire. Those are the ones that have the December 31st, 2023 date attached to them. Then you mentioned Daniel Levitz as well. Other names, you're looking at Bunbury, Godoy, Randall Leal, Zubak, Depew, Martino, Kenny Amici, Alex Muil. I mean, there's a lot of names on this list to make decisions on. I would think a lot of them would be somewhat slam dunks to sit there and say, hey, we want you back. And then there's going to be some ones where you have to put your thinking cap on.
Yeah, and then there's some where the players themselves, Dax McCarty, I mean, he's been honest about it over the last few years. He's mulled retirement. And so what does that look like for Dax? Does he feel he has another year left in him? What would his role look like in 2024? I think Dax probably played more games than he would have anticipated, than the club would have anticipated this year. And Dax McCarty had a good year for Nashville in 2023. So how good is he feeling heading into the offseason that he could give it another go? That would be up to Dax, certainly. A lot of depth pieces, too, that you mentioned there that didn't see the field much for Nashville, the likes of Kenny Amici and Lawrence Wyke. And, Nick Depew came in from Los Angeles as a defender, a center back. That was kind of the responding move Nashville made with Dave Romney going out the door to New England. And then Depew arrives in Music City, and he has an Achilles injury, and he doesn't play a minute for this team all year. So if they do choose to bring him back, that'll very much be like a brand new signing for Nashville that they actually made at the beginning of the 2023 season to shore up that defensive area where Gary Smith has found so much success. So I think you're looking at a spot where Nashville could be very, very deep in that area with Jack Mayer coming back, of course, Walker Zimmerman, Lucas McNaughton, who they acquired in a trade early in the year from Toronto for CJ Sapong, and then Nick Depew coming into the mix. And then where does that leave the likes of Lawrence Wyke? And in the attack, Ethan Zubak. Nashville was looking for options in the final third. Zubak didn't really factor into that, the former LA Galaxy man. So what does that look like for him moving forward? So I do think where you'll see the most churning will be in that area of the roster of those names that you just listed. The names to really look at as far as guys that have contributed for this team that have been an integral piece over the last few years are Dan Lovitz and Dax McCarty. As far as the big names that Nashville fans see every time, every match day when Nashville's on the field, those are kind of the guys to watch right now. But otherwise, yeah, a lot of churning near the bottom of this roster. And that's important because, like I said, this team's going to be playing a lot more games in 2024, and the depth will be critical.
Michael Head, before we get into your thoughts on the Eastern Conference and the rest of MLS playoffs and things like that, Michael Head, one of our listeners on the Twitch pitch this morning, he has an off-the-field question. He goes, off the subject, but can you ask Lucas if there's anything the club or city can do to improve ingress and egress to Geodis? Great building, but wow, getting out of there after a match is bonkers.
Yeah, that certainly had been a big topic in Nashville, and Geodis Park went up where, there were no questions about the game day experience or the stadium or anything. All of that was great. Obviously, it was the parking and like you said, the ingress and egress. What I can say is that area around the stadium is continuing to be built and worked on. There's going to be more infrastructure, parking garages, shops, apartments, restaurants. So it certainly is a process, but I think the club wanted to get the stadium up and running. They wanted to put that on the map and become that part of sports culture in Nashville while kind of supplementing it around the building in the years to come. So I think with every passing year, there will be improvement in that regard. But certainly there are ways to get around it. I think a lot of locals in Nashville have found ways, have found their own little ways to do things. Like I know, the thing that I would always tell people is, it's Wedgwood, Houston. There's a neighborhood right there. Get there a little bit early, maybe 2 hours before the game, find some street parking, grab a bite to eat, and walk to the stadium. There are hacks, so to speak. But but certainly that is a focus in the coming years as far as the infrastructure around Geodis Park, where it's not kind of done and dusted. That's the situation. With every passing year, there will be more options for people as far as transportation and parking and so on.
So are you claiming real estate for your restaurant sports bar space somewhere there in the couple of years where folks can come and gravitate toward? Is what I'm hearing?
If I'm doing that, I better get in on it now, John, because that's just going to keep skyrocketing as far as what it'll take to really get a foothold in that regard.
Lucas Panzica hanging out with us for the next couple of minutes, discussing everything Nashville, #everyone in at Lucas Panzica on the 280 character app. When you look at the playoffs from the rest of Major League Soccer, what else is stuck in your mind?
I can't wait for Columbus, Orlando. I don't know. Safe to say those are the two teams playing the best soccer in Major League Soccer right now. Definitely in the Eastern Conference. That's sort of the matchup that I gravitate towards. Philly and Cincinnati will be interesting.
It's set the league back a decade.
Yeah, I know. I think that let's just focus on that Orlando Columbus game, which really has the opportunity for fireworks. So both teams deserve to be where they are right now. I think both teams have a stake at the MLS Cup and coming out of this with a trophy. You get the feeling that the team to hoist MLS Cup this year will be out of the Eastern Conference. And I think between Orlando and Columbus, if you're putting your money down on either of those two, you've got a pretty good shot.
Yeah, Columbus is a very, very well coached, very dangerous bunch.
Yeah.
What about the chaos in the West where you've got an 8 that's made its way through and you've got 4 versus 8 in one of these things?
Yeah, when Sporting Kansas City snuck in, it was funny, the reaction, because it felt like there was some criticism there of SKC and kind of pounding their chest for getting into that 9-team playoff. But then on the flip side of that, it was also, okay, but watch out. This team could make a run here, especially if they get past St. Louis. They dispatched St. Louis in the first round, and then now here they are. And who's going to sit here and dismiss Peter Vermees and Sporting Kansas City? It's always cool to see a team like that make a run, and I think they're very much in this thing. If Denny Bouanga continues to score the way he has for LAFC, it's going to be hard to make a case of LAFC not being the team that emerges out of the Western Conference in the MLS Cup final. But if you're looking for any sort of underdog story, I suppose it's the team that got off to an absolutely dreadful start to their season. What did it take for them to grab their first win? I knew this when I was getting ready for Nashville's game against SKC a few weeks ago. It felt like it was 2 months into the season before they took 3 points out of a game. And certainly one team that's benefited from the expanded playoff format.
Yeah, zombie sporting, I guess, is kind of how we look at
Yes.
things. So Thank you, my friend, for dropping in and breaking everything down. You know that we'll be knocking on your door occasionally as we get closer and closer and closer because your predictions, we have written them down. And so when you come back in, we will see if your predictions that have been written in pen have stuck to it, and we will catch up with you as we get closer and closer to MLS Cup. Lucas, my friend, I know that you got to go and actually go to work, so go ahead and hit the plug for me before you go.
Hey, thanks, John. Looking forward to seeing just how awful those predictions turn out to be. It's at Lucas Panzica on Twitter. As we all know, it's a short off season, so Nashville will be playing CONCACAF Champions Cup in early to mid-February. Look forward to that draw on December 13th to see who they get matched up with. But we did a season wrap-up show on 104.5 The Zone last Wednesday that I'll probably throw out again and plug this week, just kind of reviewing some of the highlights of the season, recapping the end of things, where Nashville goes from here, with myself, my broadcast partners, Will Bowling and Jaleel Anibaba. So I'll be pushing that out as well, at Lucas Panzica on Twitter, and looking forward to watching the rest of the postseason.
All right, my friend, get to work, and we'll be listening to you at 104.5 The Zone there in Nashville. Thanks again.
Thanks, John. See ya.
All right, that's Lucas. And Lucas is heading to work. See, this what we do is we grab Lucas before he actually gets to work because he's busy doing midday show stuff on 104.5 The Zone, and so we get to catch up with him before he heads into work. Literally, it's like, hey, before you hop in the car, we need to grab you. So those kinds of things with the Central Time Zone. Good morning, and I am here in a suburb of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the situation here is that at 2:00 this afternoon, there's going to be a press conference involving Chattanooga FC. And there are there's like business leaders, there's ownership, there's front office, there's folks, there's big soccer type folks that are going to be here. And it is for a large announcement. It is the beginning of an afternoon of celebrating this announcement for Chattanooga FC. So we'll be there and we will let you know what's going on involving Chattanooga FC and their future. So we'll be kind of on the media that is social. We'll let you know what's going on as this is happening. So I apologize ahead of time if my photos are out of focus or you have auto iris or things like that, and you get like dark photos and things like that on social media. So big day here in Chattanooga, and it is at 2:00 Eastern time when the announcement begins. And we will let you know the information as it becomes available. And hopefully in the 9:00 hour tomorrow, we can have someone from Chattanooga FC on to discuss what is going on later this afternoon. And we can have them on tomorrow morning to discuss it more in depth. So we're looking to, we are efforting Chattanooga FC in the 9:00 hour tomorrow so we can break down everything that is going on here with the next step in their lives. So here's your traffic for today. It is mopping up everything from MLS that we didn't get to talk about yesterday, from the other matchups that happened over the weekend. And we've got news out of New England that we haven't had the chance to get into. We've got news out of Cincinnati that we haven't had the chance to get into. And we'll get into the Premier League. We'll get into, because we didn't get to talk about the 8-goal craziness that happened over the weekend. We've got news of the morning. We've got all of that kind of stuff coming up in just a little bit, and whatever else is on your mind as we go. And we are here till 11:05 Eastern time, as we always are, since we believe in Turner time. Here's your traffic for the week. Tomorrow, once again, efforting Chattanooga FC in the 9:00 hour. 10:00, hopefully, the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, can join, because Dylan was keeping an eye on Columbus and Atlanta for MLSsoccer.com. We can have Dylan come in to discuss that. We'll have him discuss what else is going on in the Eastern Conference, what else is going on in high school football and sports and things like that in the Northeast with our friends at Varsity Media on the YouTubes. And Bart Keeler coming on at 10:30 to break down everything that is going on in Bart's world, with a lot of reffing down here. I mean, literally, the way that this week may go, once again, is that at 10:30 on Wednesday morning, that Bart will come in and basically do an entire reffing down here segment. And then I'm warning him now. Bart, after the match on Thursday, 10:30 Friday morning. So it might be Bart on 10:30 Wednesday as a bit of a preview and some reffing down here. Match on Thursday. Bart comes in to close the week out at 10:30 on Friday morning here during the international window. Thursday, Madison Cruz will be hopping on the show in hour number 1, and it is the beginning of the college playoffs. And so Maddie is chasing down folks in the Peach Belt Conference, and we got to talk about Division I. We got to talk about Division II. A lot of activity. Southern States Athletic Conference and the NAIA has had some teams on the men's and women's side drift into the postseason as well. So about 9:15 after opening kickoff, we'll do Soccer's in Session. Maddie will come hopping on, and she is chasing some of the names that you'll need to know as we're getting into the playoffs here in the postseason for college. So 9:15, Soccer's in Session, the video version for those of you that follow on our YouTube channel and on our Twitch channel, and actually video on the 280 character app. So for those of you that watch the video version, you catch it live. Soccer's in Session on the audio version, obviously, will be posted after we're done. Kaylor Hodges comes back at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning Eastern time to discuss the USL Championship. And we can discuss the craziness there one more time with Phoenix and headbutts and saves and going to penalty kicks. That was crazy in and of itself. So Kaylor Hodges, then our friends at the USL show will be back in on Thursday morning at 10 to discuss the championship, USL League One, anything else going on there as well. Then Nico Moreno obviously closing out our Thursday show at 10:30 to break down everything going on in Nico's mind. Seattle advancing over FC Dallas. CMR Gomez Andrade finishing third in the Defender of the Year award. And we can discuss that as well, because I can imagine that both Nico and Jason voted for Yamar. And so we'll get into that. And then Friday, once again, encouraging the bat signal for Bart Keeler at 10:30. And we are efforting someone up north to talk about what's going on with Canadian soccer. So hopefully we can have that in the 10 o'clock hour also with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. So I believe, let's see, since it was Greg who was last week, next appearance, unless they have a coin flip that we don't know about, should be Michael Parkhurst. So hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals at 9:30. International window to talk about. Bart joining us in the 10 o'clock hour. Like I said, you're being warned. And hopefully we can get our Canadian voice because of what's going on at CF Montreal and with the Canadian men's national team and the 3-person attended Toronto FC press conference post-mortem. Did you see that? The picture that made it out of the Toronto FC post-mortem was really something. So that was an intriguing photo. So hopefully we can effort an individual who knows what is going on north of the border, and we can get into those discussions as well. So, and to Lucas's point, we're like 8 weeks away from training camp. And for the clubs that are in CONCACAF, the hemispheric CONCACAF championship du jour with the name change, they might be back at it in 7 weeks. So there's plenty to talk about as we get through the international window, get you through the holidays. You've got all of the teams with their roster decisions, and then we can sit here and kind of fish through what's going on with roster decisions and who's available and who's not available, all those kinds of things. So we'll be chasing the colleges, Soccer's in Session, going through the playoffs, all these kinds of things. And like I said, we ain't going nowhere. So we got plenty to talk about as we go forward. So opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Now that we're at 9:30, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. And there's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. And that's probably the best that my face has looked to a lot of folks in a very long time. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Once again, thanks for everybody at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com for being a part of everything here at SDH. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off of your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. Did you see, and for the kickoff this morning, it's a lot about Cincinnati. Did you see with Laurel Fowler this morning? And she came out with a notice, and this came out about 2 hours ago. We all know that this time of year is set for folks to represent their clubs. And I know that we looked at a roster yesterday where George Campbell was involved, Caleb Wiley was not. I would posit that that is just because Caleb's put in a lot of miles and a lot of minutes. And so good for George Campbell to get the nod, but I imagine that Caleb's pretty gassed. So you have folks who are gravitating toward their national teams. They get tapped. Hey, come and represent your country. And then you sit there and you're like, okay, when do I need to be there? And you run across the planet and you sit there and it's like, okay, great, fine. Okay, what are we doing? Now, one of those individuals that was tapped on the shoulder was SC Cincinnati forward Aaron Bupenza. And he was supposed to be a part of the Gabon side that was going to be in international windows and performing for their country. So you have qualifications for World Cup in 26. And Ibrahim Ndong and Aaron Bupenza were supposed to be a part of this process. And here is this is the longer version. Our friends at the Gabon Review actually posted this morning. And so we'll dance back and forth between what Laurel Fowler has and what the Gabon Review has. Summoned by the national coach of the Gabon Panthers, Thierry Muyuma, for the first 2 days of the 26 World Cup qualifiers against Kenya and Burundi, respectively, November 16-19, in Franceville and Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Ibrahim Ndong and Aaron Bupenza were excluded from the team on Tuesday, November 14. Indiscipline is mentioned by the staff to justify the sidelining. Gabon begins its qualifying for the 26 World Cup. That was the headline. And then Muyuma called on 23 individuals, including Mario Lamina from Wolves, Denny Bouanga from LAFC. Aaron Apijangoye from Sivaspor, Aaron Bupenza, and Didier Ndong. And now from the article, except the last two mentioned are no longer part of the group. They were excluded this Tuesday, November 14, because of indiscipline problems. Marketing the PR folks for Gabonese football bears the authorship of this information, which is making the rounds in the media and social networks, as the two athletes concerned are part of the Gabonese Panthers executives. Clearly, the text states, quote, that the two internationals present in Libreville since Friday, November 10, 2023, to take part in the qualifiers for the 2026 World Cup have never reached the meeting place despite the domestic flight tickets in their possession, end quote. It is quite natural that 2 days before the match against Kenya, quote, the technical staff, in view of the new paradigm based on discipline and out of respect for the entire group present in Bongaville, decided to dismiss gentlemen Didier Ndong Ibrahim and Aaron Bupenza in their respective clubs. The first mention is already customary to the fact. The officials of the National 11 assure that this approach aims to, quote, put the national team above any other personal consideration, and that from now on, only Gabonese people who love patriotism, respect the Den, and are committed to defend the values of the Republic with dignity. For fans of Gabonese sport, this is the mark of the new coach Thierry Muyuma, barely at the head of the selection he chose in his first list to do without captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, a strong decision but appreciated. So the local papers dig what happened. So basically, Bupenza and Didier Ibrahim Ndong were around since last Friday. They were there since last Friday. And now, because of what is being referred to as indiscipline, they're being removed from their squad. So Aaron Bupenza, very, very quick. He'd been in town since Friday. You've got a match on the 16th in 2 days' time. You've got a match on the 19th in 5 days' time. So 2 days makes it Thursday. 5 days makes it Monday. 2 days 2 games to get ready for Gabon, chasing after an opportunity to be in the 2026 competitions. But because of indiscipline, you're out. You got that. And then also, apparently yesterday, with FC Cincinnati, sidebar, how are you in town since Friday and still not arrive on time? You're in town and you don't arrive on time. I'm sure. Okay, great. And then apparently also yesterday, according to various and sundry folks, it appears that FC Cincinnati tried to appeal the Matt Miazga suspension. Like I said, we had a couple of things with Cincinnati this morning. So apparently Cincinnati thought that they could appeal, or they wanted to appeal the Matt Miazga suspension. Once again, that's word out of Cincinnati that this was part of stuff. So Matt Miazga, apparently Cincinnati, went to the wall for Matt Miazga, your defender of the year in Major League Soccer. And that being interesting in and of itself, have you seen, since we mentioned Matt Miazga and allegedly charging into rooms, have you seen the video of Corinthians, the Corinthians head coach, attempting to storm the VAR room? The head coach literally goes to storm the VAR room. He had a player removed from their match. One of their players gets sent off, and so the coach literally goes under the stadium into all of the hallways, tries to get to the VAR room and knock on the door. Video's out there, by the way. So the Corinthians, they try to storm the VAR room after one of their players gets sent off. And, of course, media are sitting there, and they're trying to tape it because you see the coach go sprinting past the media room, then go down the hall looking for the VAR room. And you see all these folks with, cell phones and cameras and things like that, and they're chasing after the Corinthians coach. When the Corinthians coach and the staffers that are attached to him realize what's going on, you see all of them trying to, put their hands up in the air and push away, and it's like push media members back and things like that. So, lesson learned here. Cameras are always rolling. Mics are always hot and cameras are always rolling. So you end up with that going on involving Corinthians, which was a bit of a sidebar. But, yeah, apparently FC Cincinnati wanted to try and appeal the Matt Miazga suspension. And that we found, that was intriguing. It was intriguing at the very least. So no word on whether or not that has been trimmed in any way. But Matt Miazga is out for 3, and he's also your defender of the year. So that was intriguing, to say the very least, on a couple of different levels. Okay. So it's been a bit. This man has been very, very busy, and we are blessed to have him back under the roof. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Nick Alifi.
Oh, man.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So for folks that you were gone a fair poke, sir. What have you been up to?
I was shooting for a client in California for a minute, and then back here, and then had to show up for jury duty.
Oh, no.
I'm the last person you want on a jury. I'm just letting you know that if you were someone out there who is of the legal mindset, then you're like, you know what? Is that Nick Alifi who just walked into that jury pool? I should go ahead and just have the bailiff remove him, like right now. So yeah. especially if you have like a personal injury, workers' comp, insurance case,
Oh
and
boy,
you're representing the insurance people. Just don't have me in there. Just don't.
Mr. Alifi, what do you feel about insurance companies in general?
They're a necessary evil. Focus on evil.
Judge exception.
Your Honor, can we remove this clown from the courtroom immediately, please?
Yeah, that's why that's why I went with the legal version. Your Honor, please excuse juror 27, please.
Yes, get him out of here.
Yeah, get him out of here. How much have you been able to keep up with what's been going on here in this part of the woods while you've been gone?
I kept up with Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
and their exit, and not much else.
Okay, so
I've seriously been going, for anyone who has been dialed in, I've been off the grid. If I haven't been shooting, I've been editing. And if I haven't been editing, I've been preparing for to contribute to somewhat to the legal hilarity of the universe.
yes. So now that you've had a couple of days post the loss in Columbus with Atlanta United, since you're back under the tent, sir, what are your thoughts on what we've seen here over the last little bit?
I don't know if we're ever getting, for many reasons. One is that, nostalgia plays a role, but I don't think we're ever getting 2017, 2018 back. And I don't think that's anyone's fault or doing. It's just time has moved from that window, just like Patriots fans are never getting that run back. No matter who they draft, no matter what they execute, they're never getting that back.
2-8 will do that.
The Yankees, the great runs that we had in the 90s, we're not getting that back. We're not getting, you just have to enjoy it while it's there. And then, you hope you enjoy the peaks, and kind of work through the valleys as you can. I know that there's a lot of hand wringing and whatnot going on. I am of the belief, and this is my general belief, is that if you don't win a championship, everyone's job can be evaluated. Did I say remove people from their job? No. But did I say evaluate? Yes, because you should always work on trying to. This is a business that no matter what the marketing departments of your favorite sports franchise say, this is a business of excitement, right? If you're not selling excitement and you're not selling, trying to win, then you're going to lose your people, right? You're going to lose your fan base. I will say that Atlanta, if you look at the investments they made in the most recent transfer window, they're trying to win. They're trying to keep the excitement going, right? And yes, David, 100%. We always talk about that cheat code of the first few years that you come into a league with the gam wham bam money.
Yes.
But I would rather be in Atlanta's shoes right now than some of these other teams that are scraping by, that are, hey, we're gonna spend in a slightly different way. I would rather be around a team. I have no doubt that Atlanta's trying to win. They're trying to increase the excitement level. But you should always, in that vein of keeping things exciting, keeping things fresh, keeping things energetic, everyone's job should be evaluated. And you may evaluate and say, we're keeping everybody. We feel good about where we are. But you have to at least say we're evaluating, because that keeps everyone on their toes. That keeps everyone from becoming too complacent. It keeps people from, becoming too locked in their ways. It keeps you away from the gravity of success, where you focus on one methodology to win. Instead, it says, hey, look, we got to constantly look for new and exciting ways to win. And I think that's what Atlanta needs to be doing. Just focus on that evaluation process. But, I didn't think that this was going to be the year that we contend for an MLS Cup. I would think that would honestly be more next year.
Yeah.
I know people probably don't want to hear that, but I think that, it's where we you focus on your strengths and kind of buttress the weaknesses. As far as individual player decisions, I think some of those will take care of themselves. And I think some of those decisions are going to have to be made for others. So, David says the counterpoint, the academy could be the next answer. You can get value now from Wolf and Fortune now. 100%. Yes. That helps. And I don't have any concern when those two are on the pitch. If Cobb is one of those two, even better. 100%. Yeah, and academy is a cheat code as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at where teams like Atlanta are differentiating themselves from, teams like Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't really have an academy. I think they were forced to sort of have one by the league.
You will have an academy, sir.
Right. But the Atlanta has, you can say whatever you want about anybody in the front office, but their academy philosophy works because there are very few teams. I think Dallas may be one of the few other ones, Dallas and Red Bulls, who are putting just academy kid after academy kid.
Oh, Seattle's another.
Seattle. Yeah. And so that's a cheat code as well. So I overall, I feel good about the direction of the franchise. I think there need to be some changes, especially on that back line. I'll issue one hot take here. I don't think Robinson has been right since that incident at the Braves lockdown facility, wherever the battery. So I think ever since then, I don't think Robinson's been right. I think he's been unsettled, okay, I'm ready to get out of here now. I've had enough of I don't think he has an issue with the fans. I don't think he has an issue with the team or management. I just think he's ready. I'm ready to get out of Atlanta. I think that incident, I think, really changed things up. Almada's going to be gone. I think he's ready for Europe. That leaves room for, some changes along the way. So it's going to be, interesting for sure. But overall, I feel good about where the team is. I think you got rid of a lot of bad contracts. I think you're probably going to get rid of a few more contracts here and there. And or maybe some contracts get moved to maybe a better financial state. I have no problem with that. But just remember that this is a salary cap league. So it's not just, oh crap, we have this player that, why should we get, why are we paying this player X amount? Why couldn't we keep this player and just pay him more? Well, because there's a cap to consider.
And you have to think of the collective in this situation.
Yeah.
You can't overpay one individual because that upsets the balance of everything else.
Yeah. And I believe that that's something to consider because there are different levels of spending within the cap. It's one thing to have an owner who says, hey, we are going to spend up to the cap, and for designated players, we're going to blow the doors off. Great. Amazing. I love it. It's very different to say, hey, look, we're going to spend up near the ceiling of the cap, but we're not going to go too much over. I would much rather be, again, in Atlanta's situation, LAFC situation, Seattle situation, than some of the others, because you could spend a lot of stupid money like the LA Galaxy did and have really nothing to show for it. But it's at the end of the day, it's about wins and, winning in an attractive way. And so, as far as how do we get out, Hutcho was asking, how do we get out of the middle of the pack? You're moving like before, I think you're better than you were last year. The question is going to be, are we talking about an incremental step forward, or are we talking about a leap forward?
Yeah.
A leap forward to me would be you're probably having to bring in another high TAM player, and you're having to bring in a designated player to replace Almada. That's going to be the X factor. Scouting is going to have to come into play. The right situation is going to have to come into play. And, how can you move players around within the team to make that work? To me, the number one difference is going to be someone to play alongside Muyamba, who, whether that's Joseto or Josetu or, whoever it gets partnered in the back, that back line, that to me is where the difference is going to be. I think Giakoumakis was on a tear until he went on international duty, picked up an injury. I think he kind of, strikers run hot and cold anyway, but I think he kind of hit a cold streak at a tough time. I think once you got John De Silva and you got, DJ Crazy Times, AKA Saba in, then I think that you had a pickup there. But that back line to me is where everything's going to work as far as going from where we are now to a leap forward. Because if you can cut down those quality chances and shield, whether it's Brad or another keeper or whoever in between the sticks, and protect them a bit more, that's going to be I think the game changer here. You have the ability to break lines with Mayamba the way that you didn't have when it was Josetu and maybe Ibarra. But what you have now is somebody who can carry a ball outside of your 10 and can move pieces around. So that way your dynamic players have better angles, better opportunities, and you're able to explode forward as opposed to, just having to, okay, we work out wide, we cross in, we work out wide, we cross in. Now we could say, all right, we can move forward at 110 miles an hour, or we could sort of piecemeal our way forward right down the center of the pitch. And whenever you have a 10 who can do that, and that's your one person orchestrating, they can double cover that person. They can bracket that person, keep the flow from going to them or allowing a clean distribution from. Instead, whenever you have an 8 who can also help carry, that allows your 10 to work a little more freely because you can't bracket them without leaving a space available for your 8 to exploit. And Mayamba is smart enough to do that. Some of what happens with John De Silva, I think is going to be critical. Mm-hmm. But to me, everything's going to be the back line. How you build up that back line, how you stop those transitional moments where you just got wrecked this year. I think that's going to be the leaping point going forward.
And you're also doing it to Hutch's point, and that's why I left it up here on the screen for those who are watching on the video side. You're doing it in an Eastern Conference that is crazy competitive.
Yeah.
And I think you can take the whatever, covering device you want, and I think you can cover teams 2 through 7 right now. You can say 3 through 7, and that's fine. But I think you can say that there are a lot of little fine margins here and there between teams 2 and 7 in the Eastern Conference that if you tried to apply it to the Western Conference, I don't think it would apply. So I think that right now, upward manner in the Eastern Conference could be the slightest thing, and it could get you moving forward faster than others to get you, that home playoff date that Garth Lagerwey was looking for.
And in a perfect world, let's say Miami has just a perfect world. Injuries are minimal. Messi stays perfectly healthy. He has an off season. You're talking about what is, again, on paper, mm-hmm. one of the most explosive attacks in league history. Suarez, still no joke. He, strikers, there are some strikers who age like fine wine. Suarez still is a dynamic and dangerous player and is an improvement over Joseph Martinez. I await your hate mail. You have Messi, you have Busquets, you have, Jordi Alba. The main issue for Miami is going to be that back line as well, because mm-hmm. once you get past that attack, once you get through that line, it is a sprint, and Calendar is going to have to get better as well, right? There are times that Calendar was exceptional, and the times that Calendar would look like, Wolf. And that's just because, it's hard. You get that coin toss in those moments because of the space allowed by Miami's, the backside of Miami's midfield and in the back line itself. it's going to be a battle, I think, for second in the East. And that's going to be, I mean, you're going to have Philly there. Philly's kind of going through a rebuild period, but you know how the way they like to play, which is, you know, we're going to sneaker punch you and then throw ourselves to the ground. Like, I mean, like, it's like Eddie Guerrero FC, right?
Absolutely. Very
you know,
nice.
Lie, cheat, steal. That it's Eddie Guerrero FC, and they have got that down to a science. And so until Pro decides to start calling them on their mess, it's going to be a problem. But so I think you're battling for second with Philly. You have Nashville. That, you know, what's going to happen with Hani Mukhtar in the offseason. You know, it sounded like he was wanting to leave, and then, you know, Nashville wouldn't let it happen. Now, because that is a team that really went the way of Hani Mukhtar. So if Hani's there, you know, yeah, Nashville's competitive. I know nobody likes talking about the purple team down in Central Florida, but you're going to have to. I mean,
provided they re-sign Oscar Pareja and the front office.
Correct.
Yeah.
So as long as the Wilfs are able to pony up the cash to, you know, to keep and make the wise decision to keep those people in place, Orlando's going to be a factor. You know, Carolina doesn't look like there's any remote hope for them. I just don't think Pepper has got the temperament to allow any sort of stability to exist.
He's the Jerry Jones of Major League Soccer.
I think he's the Snyder. I think he's the Dan Snyder of Major League Soccer, where he's a meddling owner who doesn't know how to be successful, right? That he just doesn't understand that stability can bring success. Stability is not sexy. It is not. It is the broccoli of a winning mentality, but it is vital, you know, because you could do nothing but, you know, steak and eggs. You're not going to be able to do that for long. You know, eventually nature takes its course and removes you from the plane. So you have to add in those vegetables, John. You have to actually eat your vegetables from time to time. Eat vegetables, and that, you know, and when it comes to a winning formula, stability is part of that. It's the vegetables of your winning formula. So Charlotte, I don't think you have to worry about. NYCFC, you never know what they're going to be. Are they going to be successful? Are they not? Red Bulls of the New Jersey variety seem like they're finally making some roster adjustments there, but I don't really. To me, they're on life support as an org.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're necessarily going to be. We've seen the heyday of the Red Bulls. It's not coming back. So
right now, the team in Harrison, New Jersey, is a line item on a balance.
That's it. Yes, that's it. That's all they are. And the way that they are covered up in that particular area, really, you know, that they're not doing themselves any favors. By working with media partners up in that area are notoriously difficult to deal with at any level for jump. Mm-hmm. So they gravitate toward winners. And even when the Red Bulls were winning, they still weren't being covered. So to me, it's an org on life support, and one that, you know, if NYCFC could prove to be a steady winner, I would not be shocked if at some point you see the Red Bulls move. Where to, I don't know, but it's, you know, to me, it's just an org on life support, and I don't care how pretty that stadium is. It does not mean anything if all you're getting is a spattering of people, you know, while the Red Bulls are getting just wrecked on game day. So the East is unbelievably competitive. Short story long, the East is unbelievably competitive, and Atlanta is going to have to fix their back line. I think Gonzo is going to have to look at his tactics and say, okay, you know, we can't just rely on a person to person, an American football term, put a hat on a hat. And, you know, to stop some of these leaky goals, we're also going to have to make a tactical adjustment here and there to, you know, or, you know, a system adjustment here and there to try to see what we can do structurally to limit some of those opportunities. But that's tough because you want to be dynamic going forward, which means putting bodies forward. And if you have, you know, to the old Sun Tzu, if to the if there are many to the front, to the rear there are few.
Yes.
If to the many are left, then the few there are to the right. So the deployment of forces in the old Sun Tzu world comes into play here, and the only way that you can then account for that is by having a significant talent or a few very, very talented people on that back line who can help to mitigate that risk. Cleaners, if you will. So you have to have a cleaner or two on that back line, and that's going to cost money. So if you want to bring a DP defender in, that's hit or miss, but that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But
yeah, you need an Ed Reed on the back line is what you basically need.
Yeah.
You need
that's
that
going to cost money.
You need that lockdown corner. One team that you have not mentioned here in the Eastern Conference, the Revolution of Foxborough, Massachusetts. I don't know if you saw this story that was posted by our friends at the Blazing Musket. And it kind of adds to the information that we were seeing trickle out over the end of the year and the attached chaos therein that led to Clint PA being the interim man in charge as they try to figure out who's going to be their new man in charge for the 23 season. So Revs lose 2 and they're gone. They lose to Philadelphia, and there was your own round of chaos there as well. From our friends at the Blazing Musket, Omar Gonzalez talked to Seth McComber and Sam Minton and WPRO Radio's Tom Quinlan about the backlash of the Bruce Arena resignation, downfall of the Revs season. Quinlan then goes and reports another couple of details on New England Soccer Weekly. Quinlan reported that while Richie Williams was not going to have his Revolution contract renewed, Bruce Arena was lobbying to find him a landing place elsewhere in New England. Quinlan, quote, "Here's the other thing that hasn't come out yet. Bruce was trying to get Richie a job. You got a little bit of a taste of it in the Athletic story, but Richie was supposed to get the Hartford Athletic job, USL Championship. So it's not like Bruce was leaving Richie hanging high and out to dry. You just weren't coaching on this team, and you probably weren't coaching in Major League Soccer," end quote. Article continues. It is unclear what Richie Williams' interest level was in the Hartford Athletic job. However, it was speculated Williams had significant interest in succeeding Bruce Arena in Foxborough. That we kind of knew. Quoting Quinlan, Dave Vandenberg was going to be the next head coach, not Richie. That's speculation from people around and close to the situation, but that's part of the problem that Richie had. He wasn't going to be the guy, and he couldn't handle it, end quote. Tab Ramos was fired by Hartford Athletic on June 26. His longtime assistant, Omid Namazi, was immediately named permanent coach. Namazi was fired last week after going 2-14-2 through the second half of the season. The Blazing Musket understands that the head coaching hire is expected to be made and announced by Hartford sometime next month. It's unclear if Arena was lobbying for Williams to replace Tab Ramos in the summer or trying to get Williams to replace Namazi when Williams' contract was set to expire at the end of the 23 season. Quinlan, quote, "Maybe USL is a good place to rehab your image. Now you can't go anywhere." Musket says either way, it's an interesting wrinkle to the inner workings to the ticking time bomb that was the Revs locker room. Obviously, Hartford Athletic had no comment when they were reached out to by the Musket. So just when you thought you might have heard everything involving the Foxborough Revolution, you get that.
Good luck to Richie.
Uh-huh.
Because if you know anyone in the soccer community is not just small, it's tiny, especially at that level. I mean, it is frighteningly tiny. And if you step wrong at any of those levels, especially in the Northeast, you're cooked. And the problem is that where's Richie going to go now? Because there's nowhere in the Northeast that's going to take him. And there's, I mean, from the Mid-Atlantic up, there's no one who's going to take him. And
anybody who's attached to Bruce Arena.
Right. So, because, I mean, if you look at Arena, where did he have his college success? University of Virginia, right? That that's a lot of routes, mid-Atlantic going north, that you're not going to find anyone who's going to be like, yeah, sure, we'll take a shot on you. No one. And so you have effectively become a man without a country. There was that old story with a person who, the man without a country, he couldn't leave the boat. He had to stay on the ship, watch everybody leave the ship and go and enjoy merriment and whatnot. And because he was a man without a country, he could not enter any other country. So he was just stuck on his little boat while everybody else came and went. And so that's where Richie is now, because you're a rat. No matter what, you could be a whistleblower, you could be this, you could be that, but one person's whistleblower is another person's rat. And in that soccer community that is so extraordinarily tiny and so incredibly insular, you're not getting in. You're not going to be a water boy. You're not going to be able to put tape on people's feet. You're not going to be able to do laundry for these people. So, Richie's going to have to go somewhere like to, good luck. Maybe somewhere in the Pacific, maybe somewhere, where arena doesn't have that arena's not really known or no one really cares or pays attention to American. I mean, American Samoa is a good place to start. The Philippines, I don't know, brother, but you're on the run now. You're not going to be your job. You've lost your America privileges.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The paraphrase a line from Marcellus Wallace. You've lost your America privileges. So you get gone, you stay gone, and you be gone. So that's all there is. You can't be a rat in that world. Good Lord.
So Jarrett, So Jarrett, we're discussing the situation in New England, which seems to be getting more. Just when you think you've heard everything, then Omar Gonzalez speaks, and we continue to add to things. Our friends at the Blazing Musket, and Nick is now detailing the story of Richie the Rat.
Yeah, it's very dumb. This whole thing, this is a complicated story too. Like, I know Omar cut a promo after the game. Yeah. I know a bunch of people have cut promos. I know a bunch of people have written stuff. Remember, this story's been going on since League's Cup. Yeah. This isn't new. This thing's got layers to it. We cut this thing open, we're going to see the rings on the tree. And the rings are, in some cases, immense and weird and dumb and just kind of feel like, man, Richie played himself. And I want to know what Bruce does next, really. That's kind of where I'm at, because Bruce just seems like he's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with all of this stupidity. Bye. I'm done waiting around. The circus is in town. And then even if he had survived everything, it feels like the circus had done so much damage, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And maybe that's just Bruce being veteran Bruce and being a grumpy old man. But also maybe it's Bruce being on top of things, realizing that no matter what happens here, the well's got poison in it, and I'm just gonna have to go find a new well, because even if I can get the surface of the water done, this is down to the roots now. I'm gonna go do something else and somewhere else, because it's all shot to hell. But man, it's like I said, there's so many damn layers to it, and so many people being dumb. And to Bart's point as well, yeah, the U.S. soccer community ain't big.
No,
it's real damn small, and it's one of those things when stuff like this happens. Yeah, we're gonna get bits of cheddar of the story as it unfolds. We're gonna get bits and pieces. We're gonna get articles. We're gonna get anonymous sources. But what happened will make its way through U.S. soccer communities and the coaching side. That story will make its way through there. And what does or doesn't happen for the guys involved in the next year and change will tell us a lot about what went down. It won't be the whole thing, but it'll tell us plenty.
And that's, to Bart's point and to Jarrett's point, Nick, this whole thing, and I think that you had it. I think you had it right. I don't know. I don't know where Richie Williams goes now. I really don't. I don't know. I mean, is it some small college someplace that, where, is it a high school?
The only thing I can think of
where
is
do you hide?
it'll be some
Faber College.
Oh, yes.
It will be some high-end for-profit like academy somewhere with very few scruples. That's the only thing.
Mentions
he could go to the Canadian Premier League, but I think that if he wants to stay stateside, the only place that's going to hire him will be some academy that is only interested in taking rich suburban parents' paychecks. And I think that there are plenty of those around, right?
Yeah.
There are plenty of academies that are just primed to take your money because your baby's going to be a star. And they will have no problem putting, former MLS coach, Richie Williams is running our program now. And I can see plenty of academies, especially here in the Southeast, that would be happy to do that. Now, there are limitations, but once Richie's in that world, he ain't getting out. It's a poison chalice because, once you get in there, you ain't leaving. So I think Bart is right that the smarter move would be for him to maybe go to the Canadian Premier League, where you're at least managing a side of players who are getting paid, who are getting paid to play, as opposed to dealing with the sort of unique evil that comes with having to deal with wealthy suburbanite parents who all believe that their kid is the next Ronaldinho. So, good luck to them. It's not a position I would envy, but the position that I envy rather, but it's certainly one that is befitting of a rat of his status. And I don't even like Bruce Arena. So,
but you understand the dynamic and know where the pieces fit.
Yes, but I hate rats more than I do Bruce Arena. So this is if the story is accurate and Bruce was trying to find a landing spot for this guy and he felt slighted because you're not finding one of enough prestige.
Was it not good enough?
Right.
Like, he tried to find me a spot, but it wasn't good enough. Hey, man, time to go learn how to speak UPSL, buddy.
Yep. That's peak clownish behavior. Like you're doing what? You're trying to nuke me. I'm trying to find you a job. Hey, what?
The level of entitlement there, if that's what happened, the level of entitlement there if this is how it all went down. You're talking about a guy who was a part of Bruce's staff, rode on his coattails, rode with him. And look, managers have staffs like that. They got guys they take with them everywhere. It's what they do. It's the way the sport works. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. But, dude's been running with Bruce for a while. Bruce is like, hey, man, I don't know if this is going to stick. I'm going to try and get you a gig, elsewhere. And then to come back and say, that gig isn't good enough. The one you're trying to help me get or get for me ain't good enough, so I'm going to blow up the dam. The actual hell, man. If that's how it went down, the entitlement is just S tier.
I know a guy who, I know a couple of guys who in the entertainment industry have said, I'm not going to bring you onto my staff full time. Right. But you have to understand the reasoning behind it. It's not because I don't think you're talented. You are. But if this goes sideways and we get funding pulled, you will be in a far better position to survive it than any of us who are stuck with this, with this mess that's going to be left behind. But you have to be an adult in that situation and put aside the fact that, oh, well, I'm mad because they're getting regular paychecks and I still have to do some contract hustling. No. Listen to what's being said. Like, even though at the surface, this may not appear to be a better situation than what we have, being the MLS club. At the same time, if for some reason we're not getting resources, the promises fall through, we have to leave town quickly, you're still good. You're still taken care of, right? And that's not good enough for you? I mean, it's mind-bending to me. Somebody goes out of their way to put in a word for you. My Papa Leafy said it best. He said, look, I sat down with him one time at dinner, and he was talking about, well, and this person did this and this person did that and this person helped me out. And I was like, man, Papa, how do you know all these people? He says, son, listen to me. It's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. Right? And what are they talking about when they say they know you? Are they saying that you're a good guy? Are they saying you're a hard worker, that you bust your ass, that you're trustworthy, that you're somebody that you absolutely want to work with? Or are they saying that you're a jerk, that you're hard to deal with, that you're no damn good? And it's who knows you. And so when you had somebody in your corner like Bruce Arena, who was like, hey, man, I can make a few calls. I can get you right in. It's no problem. I know this person, this person, this person, this person in New York, right? That is priceless. And especially in Sicilian culture, baby, we live on favors. That is one thing that has been played up in the media that is 100% true. Favors are more expensive than cash, right? It's it's the most expensive thing going. You had somebody willing to do favors for you and open doors for you, and you reject that and then use that against them. That is the lowest of low. That's the frozen level of Dante's hell. So, now everyone does know you, Richie. It's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. Now everybody knows you, Richie, but they know you for the wrong reason. And not all fame's good fame, brother. And you're figuring it out.
And let's say for the sake of the arguments that, he was up for a job and didn't end up getting it, and then still tried to blow up the dam. Like, man, put your name out there, and if they went another direction, that's going to happen. Every job you get recommended for, you don't get it. That's not how. Especially when you're working those kind of gigs, coaching gigs, freelance gigs, when it comes to that, like, not everyone's going to bat 1,000. Better candidate might come along. It doesn't have to be a reflection on you. It could be, hey, we like you just fine, but we got a perfect fit over here who came along.
Hell, a cheaper candidate. Somebody who's not as good, just cheap
for us. Yeah, especially some of these smaller clubs, stricter budget. But damn, man, like, of all the things you could have done, like, you could have made a lot of dumb decisions as a coach, gone down to like NPSL or, fourth division, whatever, anywhere on the pyramid, and said, hey, mea culpa, I'm gonna disappear for a while. I'm going to work down here, and then I'm gonna work my way back up. But like, this is one of those things, man, that, like, you can try and work your way back up, but I feel like it ain't gonna really fly. Like, this is one of those things that's gonna follow you no matter what, more so than other transgressions.
Well, and here in story time with Nick, really quick.
Go for it.
How you handle rejection, to me, says more about who you are than anything else. Anything else. Anybody can handle success. Anybody can be, can be a winner. How do you handle a loss or a potential loss or something that looks like it's being set up for a loss? And so I use Dr. Wifey, for example. So when I first go on a date with Dr. Wifey, right, we have a fantastic date. We're hanging out. We're having fun. We're chatting. Chemistry's off the meter. And we go to leave. She says, look, I'm going to be open and honest with you, is that this was a great date, but before I say that this is going anywhere else, I've got a person who I've been talking to, I'm going to go on a date with that person, and I'm going to see, like how it goes, because she has been open and honest and transparent, right? My exact response to her verbatim was, go for it. If you have better chemistry with this dude than you had here today, then by all means go for it, right? Because that's a win, right? Can't be mad at it. And later on, she said, your response in that situation told me everything I needed to know about you, which was that, you're confident, at the same time, you're level-headed. And because there are a lot of dudes who have been like, get lost, gone really negative with it. But if you know what your worth is and you know how to handle your business, you can be confident. Like there are freelance projects I pitch where I know I'm expensive. And I tell these people, this is what you're going to get though. And, I got somebody who could shoot on, who's going to shoot something for me, and they're much cheaper. Okay, great. Fantastic. I completely understand. If anything changes with that, please don't hesitate to give me a call. That's it. Mm-hmm. And what happens? There have been a few times they have not called back, but there's been several times they call back and say, you know what? Let's give it a run. Let's see how it works. And you make it easy to do business with you, right? Make it easy to do business with you. You're in charge of that part of your process, whether it's love, relationships, making money. I'm tired of seeing these quote unquote artists. I don't change anything because I'm an artist. I'm exceptionally good, and you must, there's a difference between arrogance, right? And confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And if Richie was confident, we're bringing it back home now. If Richie was confident that Bruce had his best interest in mind and he knew his talent and ability, my time's coming. I'm just going to play this out, and I'm going to be grateful to Bruce. And when the time comes, if I get a call from someone saying I have an opportunity to improve my situation, I'm going to take it. But I'm not going to burn this down because my ego has been bruised. Just like I didn't burn the bridge down when Dr. Wifey said, hey, I'm going on this other date with this dude, because I knew what I had and I knew what we working together had. And if she found something better, it was an improvement for her and it was great experience for me. So why blow up the spot? So there's no reason for that. Handle failure, handle letdown, with some class, some dignity, because a perceived loss is not necessarily a loss, but sometimes you can turn it into a big L. You could sometimes turn it into a big loss by lack of confidence, lack of awareness. And that just screams what happened with Richie.
At the same time, you can take that, turn it into an opportunity, and B, a future success if you handle the situation appropriately with your relationships, with a handshake and a thank you, and being a conduit for that larger contact working down the road, because you never know. What I always tell college students when they ask me about this business: no conversation is a bad conversation when you're talking to a possible mentor. No question is ever a bad question when you're talking to a possible mentor, because the question's been asked before. Don't feel self-confident about it. Go ahead and ask the question. It's been asked in the past. Don't worry about that. But the other thing that I mention is no contact is ever a bad contact, because you never know when that individual can come back and help you. And if in this case, your contact is Bruce Arena in the soccer community, which we have stipulated and said on multiple fronts is very insular. It is the smallest of the small. And you want to set fire to the boat that your contact has built for you, then that's up to you to tap dance on what's left of that boat and check the driftwood and sit there and go, what can I do out of this, or am I sinking? Is it going to be the scene in the Titanic with Kate Winslet and Leo DiCaprio at the end? And not in the 5-foot pond either. at Pinewood Studios. It is. No contact is ever bad contact. And if you roast, I mean, literally, this is like burn notice, man. This is like burn notice. You set that contact on fire.
Hey, it's up to you how you want to handle setback. And when I was in cybersecurity sales, what I discovered, and I'm sure many of others have discovered this as well, the concept of cross-pollination, right? So you talk to there's a bank you don't want to do business with. Oh, the IT manager is a jerk. He keeps asking all these pointed questions and he's just not letting me speak. Well, so you get mad at that IT manager. Well, that IT manager moves up and becomes a CISO, a chief information security officer at a mid-level bank. Because what you learn is those guys are only on deck for about 12 to 18 months before they move on. So, 6 to 12 months later, boop, they're at a mid-sized bank. 6 to 12 months later, boop, now they're at a large bank, right? And so their spending budget exponentially increases each stop they go to. So you burn that relationship at the kernel early on. And then by the time they get up to having that large budget, they don't even want to take a call from you. They've instructed all of their underlings. If you get anyone from this company that calls us, you hang up. You tell them never to call again because I don't like those guys. And what happens is they poison the downward well too. So everywhere they're going, they're poisoning the well with your name. Burn the relationship if you want. Quietly, you can go home and hate that person. I hate that person, but I'm going to do good business with them, right? It's like we talk about in the wrestling world all the time. You have two people who have legitimate real life heat, don't like each other, can sometimes put on the best matches because they understand it's what's best for business. Do what's best for business. Take the L and move on. Richie should have taken the L, or in this case, the helping freaking hand and moved on. Jared, fire away, man. Come on.
He's thinking about
No,
it.
I mean, it's a lot of it is how you're going to deal with this going forward. And you know what? When we pull let's modify the scope here. Let's pull the range back on this.
Sure.
How does New England deal with this? Like, New England's been dealing with it. They got through the end of the regular season, got through the playoffs, didn't go their way.
And they were
Makes sense.
they were openly admitting, the players, that they were still trying to figure out how Clint PA wanted them to play late in the year. Not necessarily a surprise.
Yeah, man. Like, but all of it is just so. Like, how does New England rebuild this? Because here's the thing, man. Go back to like 2017. New England's been a mess for a while. Like, it's not new that New England's been a mess. They've had issues. Going back to like the Rev wedding, where that team pretty much quit on Jay Heaps.
Yeah. And
it was there, like, you had the Brad Friedel era where it was just bad. Bruce comes in 19, stabilizes them. And just seems like it's stable. It's working. You set the points record, it gets broken again. Who cares? You've done really good work. You've built a firm foundation. You've gotten great production out of guys. You've sold guys for money. You've got a supporter shield. You made a playoff run. A lot to write home about. Well, now you got to start over because of this. So not only did Richie play Richie, Richie played the entire New England Revolution and threw them into a deeper flux, right back to where they were, almost a decade ago.
All right. So Nick has posted this, and this was kind of thought about. We're going to do soccer over there for a second. And I have to make sure that everything fits the way it's supposed to fit here. And this was rumored, one of 3 candidates. And if I hit the right thing, then I can actually do it right. This was rumored that Napoli, soccer over there, Mazzari is the new head coach.
Yeah, he was the manager when Napoli sort of started its resurrection in the modern era. But he's not the same Mazzari. So I mean, ADL, he had Spalletti, sent Spalletti out the door, and then now it's like, hey, Antonio Conte, you want to come manage this? No. Antonio, baby, Antonio, baby, come manage the squad. No. But we got this Rudy guy in here. He's not doing good, Antonio. This could be your spot. No. I'm not gonna do that. Damn. Okay, Rudy, get out of here. Hey, Walter, you want to come in? You want to come in, Mazzari? You want to come in? Huh? Come on, baby. Come on, run the team. ADL's got to chill, man. He is cooking. He is cooking the wrong stuff in the wrong kitchen because I don't know, man. Good luck. If you're a Napoli supporter, good luck.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jarrett, to your point about what New England needs to do or what they need to focus on.
Adam, appreciate it. Appreciate the time, guys. Brian, just to start with you, you said about 20 minutes ago, quote, as everyone can imagine, this is a difficult time for Richie. What do you mean when you say this is a difficult time for Richie? And to Kurt, do you feel when this all passes, you would like to tell your side of the story here?
I mean, in terms of Richie, there's just been a lot written about Richie. And so, when you're being talked about publicly, that's always a difficult situation, for people who are in this building, they're in this sport because they love the sport. They love being around the guys. They love coaching. They love the fans. They love doing just what their job is. And when they have to answer questions or be in the media or being talked about for other reasons, I think that's just always stressful and difficult for anyone. And so, I think that's really what I'm talking about when I say it's been a difficult time for Richie.
And to answer your question, I was asked, first of all, I didn't ask to be in this position. I was put in this position. And I embrace it. The Crafts and Brian have asked me to lead this organization through a very, very difficult time. And I have enormous experience. I'm extremely confident. I love the people in this building. I love the owners. I love our staff. And my side of the story is to make a very difficult situation into a great one. And we have that opportunity. So that's what we're thriving on, is can we, through all this noise and the stuff that none of us asked for this, but to drive forward and to make something out of it. And that's the message that we're telling our players. And they are an incredible group of human beings. And I just tell you, watch out, because they are united, as we are as a staff and an organization, and from ownership all the way through. And it's time to get out there and play and stop talking about all the baloney. It is noise, right? We're going to focus on winning.
So Kurt Analfo wants us to focus on this, and like I said, that was a pulled quote that I've had in the stacks for a while. But that's a reminder from Kurt Analfo that we need to focus on things other than the baloney.
After further review, we have determined that it is not just noise nor baloney, but it actually real life situations. That is. Good Lord.
Uh-huh. Sorry, that was a blast from the past from Kurt Analfo, where when all this stuff started to go down. We need to focus on things we need to get away from the baloney. So we need to focus on things.
Can't get away from the baloney, man.
Not baloney.
The baloney.
Get away from the baloney. But there's nothing wrong with a bologna and cheese sandwich occasionally.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. It's baloney, John.
Yes, it is baloney.
It's just baloney. Jarrett, yes. It's baloney.
We haven't had a chance to talk about the Western Conference yet. And the Western Conference, Jarrett, seems to be, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm off the page here a little bit, but to me, I think probably one of the better, you got two good stories here, and I'll let you pick whichever one you want to talk about first. You can talk about Benny Ball or you can talk about Zombie Sporting. You have an 8 seed playing a 4 in the semis.
I mean, okay, let's do that then, because it's a team that could not score early in the season and got themselves righted, got healthy, made some moves, and you will drag Peter Vermes out of that job when his body is cold and rigid from rigor mortis, and not a second before.
No.
Like, you're going to have to wait for the body to completely cool off before you can take him out of there. He's never going to leave. And at this point, they just might be one of those really uncomfortable teams to play against, because they can they can find production. Johnny Russell can roll back the clock for a short series, or for, in these cases, 90 minutes. That Daniel Shalhoub is capable of some stuff. That Alan Polito, when he's on the field, is incredibly productive. He and Tim Mapuki were the most productive players, goals per 90 this season. Now, granted, they both played limited minutes, but they were both just playing at unsustainable levels. They are a potential problem, and it would be very funny if that continues. Peter Vermes is just out of spite, if nothing else. The man might be driven by spite to just keep on going, and that's the kind of man that I will go to the wall for.
Nothing like every time that we talk about Peter Vermes, Nick. The is it a GIF or a meme? What is that technically?
It's
referred to.
A meme is like in my opinion, it's a status level. So you can have a GIF, right? You can have an image, but when an image or a GIF get used in a particular context repeatedly, it becomes a meme.
Okay, so the Peter Vermes lip reading extravaganza that is a GIF has turned into a meme.
Yes.
Okay. That literally, that is the first thing that pops into my head, and is Peter Vermes to me comes across almost as like the Major League Soccer version of Greg Popovich, where he suffers no fools. You ask an intelligent question, he'll give you an intelligent answer. He's a very, but at the same time, when it comes to trying to find ways to continue to win, find your way out of a jam, do things in the summer window, get everybody healthy, get into the playoffs, and wreck shop. That's the kind of guy that we almost learned to expect now.
To me, he's more Tommy Lasorda.
Okay.
To me, he's more of a Tommy Lasorda guy. Or even like a Bill Parcells. Yeah.
Rah.
But yeah, this is an amazing coaching job that this guy's doing right now, because all of us, including me, have written off Sporting Kansas City and Vermes. I was like, well, Vermes got to be out, But the difference between our show, I can't speak of any other show, but on this show, we call out periods where we're wrong, and I will say I was completely dead ass wrong about Peter Vermes in Sporting Kansas City. It is a true zombie job by this man, and well done.
Go for it, Jarrett.
I think we all were at different points, because even if we wanted to believe in him, we were kind of like, do they pull the ripcord here?
Yeah.
But he's also the GM, so that's a major overhaul. Do you just wait till the offseason? No. He's just powered by spite, though. He's powered by doubt.
And then, Jared, on the flip side, your 4 seed in Houston, Benny Ball, Ben Olsen, who was criminally underrated in the Coach of the Year conversation. Not getting nothing from nobody about nothing. then you end up with Benny Ball being what it is.
It's embarrassing that he wasn't getting more votes, as far as I'm concerned, personally. I'm annoyed that he wasn't getting more votes because of the work he did this year with this team. I mean, look, they got a U.S. Open Cup. I don't care that Messi didn't play. He still bludgeoned Miami's face in for most of that game. I thought the scoreline was a little deceptive.
Yeah,
they got through the playoffs. They got through an incredibly tricky first round of the playoffs against RSL. Like RSL, like Pablo Mastroeni's got that team playing a very defined way. They're not going to give up a lot, and then they have a very dangerous striker. They have Diego Luna. Like, they have weapons. They know what they are, and they've shown you in the playoffs before that they can just drag you into a fight in a closet. And sure, they're going to come out bleeding, but you're not going to come out at all. But Benny Ball's able to survive it. And now we've talked for years about Houston kind of being a sleeping giant. It should be because of that market, because of everything in the Houston area. It should be a bigger market for what it is for soccer in the United States and for MLS. Well, Ben Olsen, who it wasn't working in DC anymore, and DC is kind of wandering in the desert here for, going on. This will be, I guess, reset of year 1 of 40 to start wandering in the desert. I'm very interested to see how the DC people feel seeing Ben Olsen do this, because I think it was time when he left DC. I don't think he was fired without cause. I think it was time. But man, him just like turning Houston into a functioning team that's really fun to watch has been a bit surprising and been very enjoyable. And I'm very annoyed that he hasn't gotten more votes for Manager of the Year. Absolutely think he should have gotten into the top 3. But that's just me.
Yeah, Ben Olsen's job, that's one that also got to wave a flag, the year-end flag of, yep, wrong on that guy. I really thought that they would be a middling team, because that's what we saw for so many years up in DC, right? Like this Ben Olsen's khaki Warriors playing the most vanilla ball humanly imaginable, just creeping along. And I thought, well, it's going to be rinse and repeat down in Houston. That man's found a renaissance. So good for him, man. I mean, look, I love being proven wrong on this stuff, because I don't want people to lose their jobs. As somebody who has lost a job and forced out of a job, baby, that is not how we want to be living. So to watch Ben Olsen, watch Peter Vermes save his job, right? Mm-hmm. To watch Ben Olsen resurrect himself, his style, his love for the game. I mean, he's got those guys playing for each other down in Houston. The future looks very bright for them. I mean, man, I love it. Give me more opportunities to be wrong on this stuff, because I think it's a good thing.
New ownership is always a good thing in that regard as well, especially out of the blocks when you want to make that first impression, Jared.
They went like 3 coaches in 3 years. And look, I expect Wilfred Nancy to generate a ton of votes for Coach of the Year, which is fine. I mean, Wilfred Nancy is very, very good at his job. Then it'll be Carnell, and it'll be in Cincinnati with Noonan. But damn, man, like Cincinnati had started turning things around. They really completed this year, although now they can't seem to get out of their own way, because you have your DP striker being told he is not going to be playing with his national team because he was in the country to play and showed up late.
Yeah, he was there. He was there on Friday and decided,
he's got some stuff to work through.
It's like, I was there on Friday and we talked about it. It was opening kickoff. It's like, okay, so Bupenza's in the country on Friday and you're supposed to show up on Tuesday and you just don't show up. And so coach is like, see ya. I mean, you got that, and we talked about the Matt Miazga situation, where apparently the team probably tried to talk to the league about appealing the suspension. Good luck on those fronts. And you've got all this stuff going on around you.
Well, Matt's got to figure out that storming centralized positions of power is not exactly a good idea. At some point, Miazga's got to learn this. I don't know.
Well, and damn, man, like, part of me was like, is the league petty enough that to extend the suspension? Because that would have been hilarious if they had straight up appealed it, going through the full on appeal process. The league is like, you know what? Make it 5 games for wasting our time.
You know what? You know what? You've brought this shame upon this house by actually appealing it. We're extending it.
Just be glad they kept it. Just be glad they turned it down and kept it at 3 and didn't say we're adding another game for making us get out of bed early in the morning for an appeal.
You want to appeal this? Okay, we're going to add a game. It's like the John Bender detention scene in the Breakfast Club. You want to open your mouth again? You got another week. That's another one.
Carnell's going to get a lot of votes. Let's have the awkward conversation, though, that it's a lot of what Carnell did, while it's very good.
It's very Red Bullsian, yes.
No, it's not even that. Go look at their point total versus other point totals. It's in line. I think it's only a few points better than what Atlanta did.
Yeah.
Expansion records.
Oh, so you want to compare?
I'm trying to pull the points because while they won the West, a lot of that had to do with the fact that the West was just kind of
not good. Not good.
It was pretty mid.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Because LAFC had 57 points. Let's see. I'm trying to pull all the points. Yeah, Atlanta had 55.
Yeah, so you're 1 point behind St. Louis.
But yeah, it's it's a good season. It also benefits from the fact that the West was just weird and dumb this year. Because when Atlanta had 55, they had to play a first round game against the Columbus Crew. I'm really tired of doing that. But yeah, man, it's just all very very chaotic with the manager of the year thing, and then the fact that as much as I love what Wilfred Nancy did, the Columbus roster was in solid shape when he got there. They couldn't stop blowing late leads in games. They still do it occasionally under Wilfred Nancy, and some of that is just he's going to play aggressive. He wants the ball. I respect that. What Olsen did in taking a Houston team that had multiple managers over, averaging a manager a year or averaging multiple managers a year, to being a competent playoff team is some damn coaching. And I'm tired of pretending it's not.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Then on the other side of the bracket, it's chalk. It's a 2-3. Seattle survives Dallas, winning 1-0 in game number 3. And LAFC, Nick was 2-0 against your boy Vanni Sartini in Vancouver. And Vanni, if he has not won the hearts and minds of everybody in British Columbia, I think that his outburst at the end of the series definitely earned him the love and respect of everybody in British Columbia, if not some haters of pro.
Well, yeah, I mean, one, let me go ahead and go on the record because I have to say this, otherwise I am a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Okay? As someone who has said repeatedly that fans are the problem, why would anybody want a ref dealing with what, refs have to deal with? I love Vanni Sartini. Love that guy. I would have chosen Vanni something different to say post-game. You could say that the ref is a bum. You could say that the refs made terrible calls. I understand what you were trying to say, Vanni, but English not your first language. I get it.
Yeah.
But brother, you can say that in Italy. You can't say that here. So, talking about finding a ref in the river, not going to work well for you. And I don't think you should have said it. Therefore, I'm not a hypocrite. Okay. And I refuse to flip-flop positions on this. However, and I know that nothing means anything except for after the however. Pro has got to figure out how to unblank themselves, man, because good God, they find new and unique and awesome opportunities to prove their cluelessness day in and day out. I want Bart on a plane right now to pro headquarters to sit down with them. I want him to put on one of those giant foam hands like you used to get at like the 80s football games and just like whack-a-da, 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 like slap some folks around with it.
Well,
just to send a message.
10:30 tomorrow morning. Yeah, first off.
Yeah, just send a message that pros got to unblank themselves. But Vanny, we can't talk about putting refs in a river, baby. We just can't do that.
No. But
he has earned the respect though of everyone in British Columbia.
Yes. So Bart, once again, 10:30 tomorrow morning will be round one of Reffing Down Here. I imagine Reffing Down Here will take up Wednesday, and I'm going to remind him that I would like him to rejoin us at 10:30 on Friday after the U.S. friendly on Thursday, so we can discuss things on Friday as well. So you might get 2-2-2. Bartimus Prime 19 works in 1 week. All right, so update from Abby here, because Abby was having travel issues coming back from the game in Columbus, and she made it home safely, but update. Just got a call from a mechanic. Don't think the Abstermobile is going to make her goal. 22,000 miles away from 360, but it looks like to repair what is wrong is probably not worth it. You're looking at the profit and loss ratios, and we'll keep an eye on that. And a programming update from Bart. Soccer for You POD, another episode's coming today, so that's always a good thing. But yeah, I mean, Vanny Sartini signs an extension, says what he says, and you've got chalk down low in the 2-3 with Seattle and LAFC, and it's a one-off. So remember, that's what this round is. Every round going forward is a one-off. I would be just as happy with home and away legs, aggregate scoring, all that kind of stuff, instead of doing a best of three. I think that we figured out that it's only 2 less episodes of the television program, commonly referred to as the MLS 2023 Cup playoffs, if you did it that way. But we've got a whole 12 days to sit here and discuss what's going on with Seattle and LAFC. On the Eastern side, it's 1-4-2-3. Jared, are you of a mind, and I'm fairly certain that Nick would be, are you of a mind that the 1-4 involving Cincinnati and Philadelphia will set the world back at least a decade?
Actually, I don't know, because it might be fireworks. Because again, Cincinnati will be missing both center backs.
That is true.
So, yeah, good job, Matt.
So that is what
once more into the breach, Matt. Once more. Oh God. I think it's going to set everything back, and for one reason. Philadelphia is not going to want to go and get in a track meet with Cincy. Not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the flopping will be early. It will be often. The goading for, of Cincy players. I would go ahead and start coaching them now to say, look, we are going to have our assistants going around while you're practicing, while you're doing passing drills, and start kicking you in the ankles, right? Just so that way you learn not to react. And we're going to hit you. We're going to elbow you. We're going to bump you. Do not react. Because if you do, that's when the cards are going to come out. And as a pressing team, the minute you get into card trouble, your entire way of playing fundamentally changes. You can't close with the level of intensity required to move the ball, to force the opponent to move a ball in a particular direction. You have to take a half step off, because if they throw themselves to the ground, it's going to look like, especially if you run through your press, it's going to look like you've slaughtered their ankles. So the ref will be very quick on the cards then. That allows passing lanes. That allows space. Philly, very good at exploiting those. Just get used to the idea that you're going to get bumped and knocked around and learn not to react. That's it. That's all you can do. But Philly's going to set this game back, and the league and the world, the universe perhaps, we don't know, centuries by their buffoonish tactics.
I would firmly anticipate something like that as well. Nick, I wanted to get your thoughts on a hiring in the USL Championship. Antonio Nocerino is now the new head coach at the Miami FC. Returns to Florida after playing 16 and 17 and being a youth coach at the Purple Team from 2020 to 2022, co-owned by Ricardo Silva and Paolo Maldini. So Antonio Nocerino is now your new head coach at Ricardo Silva Stadium in Boca Raton, Florida, for the Miami FC.
There's a pretty large Italian contingent down in Miami. Good for him. I would like to see how he reacts when he starts trying to implement his tactical philosophies, because it's just going to be interesting to watch play out, especially at the USL level. If he thinks he can get them tactically where he wants them to be, then great. Remember, Nesta also managed the Miami FC for a while and bounced. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Maybe we need to schedule a road trip to go down and interview him, like a South Beach interview.
I like that.
I'm still waiting for Chelsea to re-enter the league. After
What, you guys don't want to go to Miami?
Oh, no, absolutely. I just can't wait for the sit down.
That's
couple of other things. Jarrett, before we're out of here in 8 minutes to discuss things, reminder at 2 o'clock this afternoon, presser for Chattanooga FC. And there are muckety mucks. There's ownership. There's coaches. There's people. Probably we'll have some interviews, and we'll post it as a show later today, and efforting a CFC presence tomorrow morning in the 9 o'clock block. Roberto De Zerbi, Jarrett, says he does not like 80% of Premier League referees. After 10-man Brighton were held to a 1-1 draw with Sheffield United on the weekend. Adingra had put the hosts ahead. A midfielder then game changed on Mahmoud Daoud's red card with about 20 to go. He stomps on an Achilles. Adam Webster scores an own goal. You're tied at 1, and it's for the first time since the 23rd of September. So the United is off the bottom of the table. And as we continue with Roberto De Zerbi, he was booked for his touchline behavior. He didn't disagree with the red card shown by the ref, but the Brighton manager said afterward, quote, "I am honest and clear. I don't like 80% of English referees. That isn't a new opinion. I don't like them. I don't like their behavior on the pitch. England is the only country where when there is VAR, you are not sure that the decision is right. In other countries, you have to be sure 100% that the decision taken is right. In England, no, and I am not able to understand," end quote. So Roberto De Zerbi does not like officials. 80% of the ones in England, Jarrett.
I mean, any given Saturday or Sunday, the fans are going to agree with you.
Yes.
Next week they won't care as much because it'll go in their favor, but
correct. Absolutely true. So, Nick, I even, as we were getting into the VAR situation in what's the name of the country with the Premier League? Thank you, because I can't do that with my pipes anymore. There were even individuals that were proclaiming, and once again, this is angry middle-aged / older gentleman standing with his face into the headwind, screaming into the heavens, that VAR should be taken off the table now in that league. Just get rid of it for the rest of the year. Gone. Bye. Got to go. Don't like it. Done. Just get rid of it. You're spoiling my game. Get it out of here. You even had older gentlemen screaming into the void about that. Take VAR away from my game, basically. Now. Seriously? I mean, I know that. Yeah. Okay. So here's the quote. VAR is ruining my love of football. Let us put it on ice for the season. Seriously.
So which call went against his team that ruined his day?
Well, let's see. So it was a Des Lynam article, or it was a Des Lynam commentary. So let me preface by that. So, Des obviously, and you know that when
Because
you
people don't write those articles unless like something happened to the
you're personally aggrieved.
Yeah.
So let's see. So it was Tottenham and Chelsea was the match that was sat through, and Des Lynam appears just to be venting in general. So it says it was difficult to sit through Tottenham and Chelsea. So it was written about a week ago. But much of the blame is falling on that most unwelcome usurper and spoil sport VAR, which, to borrow and adapt a Wildian phrase, knows the price of everything but the value of nothing. So that's what Des Lynam is saying. Get rid of VAR. It's spoiling my game.
Yeah, they only say that when something happens that affects them directly.
Of course.
Generally, that's how it goes.
Yeah. So you have
you're not yelling at VAR when it rules out a goal in the 93rd minute that preserves a 1-0 win for you.
No. So dude has been a broadcaster since 1968, trying to see if there's anything personal about he's a Brighton guy. So it appears he's just yelling into the void. I'm sure that he'll probably have something to say about what happened with De Zerbi, but no, he's a Brighton guy apparently. So he's just yelling into the void.
Film to
Yes, that is basically what I think is happening here. Is old man yells at cloud. You have all of that. Did either of you guys catch any of the highlights from the 4-4 match on the weekend with Manchester City and Chelsea?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
But apparently, it was the craziest. It was the craziest match of the season, and understandably so. So you had 8 goals between 2 of the top teams in the league, and everybody's sitting there going, man, these two, they're really going to be right there at the end of it all. How much and Manchester United is still kind of floundering. And now folks are saying, get this, Nick, Eric Ten Hag will be the first one sacked this season in the Premier League.
If they want to be stupid, go for it. I'm tired of Man United supporters talking about, we got our guy, fire the guy. We're trying to figure out why we can't get out of mediocrity. Because you keep hiring and firing guys. Just let someone cook for a while. Jesus.
You can't.
Next, you're going to tell me Frank de Boer should have gotten more time.
Hear it? You're going to bring the darkness out of me. But it seriously, like, you're not always going to be at the top. Sir Alex Ferguson is not going to jump into a DeLorean and come manage your squad. It's over.
1.21 gigawatts of electricity to make sure that the DeLorean works.
I'm just saying, you cannot build a sporting culture. You cannot build a system of play unless you allow a manager time to work. I don't care what team it is. I don't care what the situation is, whether you spend all the money or none of the money. These are humans. This is not a video game. Stop believing you can just plug in a manager and get 99 chemistry and go cook. It doesn't work that way in real life. You have to let the manager work, because all you're doing is making it so that your brand is diminished each time you do one of these hire and fire episodes. Who is going to come manage you? Who's going to come out and manage you? You're not getting Carlo Ancelotti. You're not getting who else would be even in the mix for this?
Zidane would be in the mix.
Is not coming to manage you. So who are you getting to come in? Well, we're Manchester United. People would love to. No, they're not. Look at your past string of managers. Who is coming to manage you? No one wants to sit there and be like, well, I'm going to be held up to Alex Ferguson standards. No, I'm good. I don't think I wanted to work with that. We got Jose Mourinho. He's going to lead us back to glory. Did you get back to glory? No. You know,
They got right on that.
So who's coming to manage you? You have a good situation right now. It's not ideal, but you got a metric load of bad contracts you got to get rid of. It's going to take time. You have to figure out your goalkeeping situation. Going to take time. You're going to have to figure out, you're going to have to actually install in totality this Dutch system that you wanted. Congratulations. It takes more time than even the Dutch think it will. Okay. Be patient. I know it's not going to work. I know. Look, it's going out in the ether right now. And it's not what BT Sport or any of these other clowns say. You have to be patient and let a manager work. If you don't, you're going to be caught in a higher fire cycle, which you are, and you're going to suck and be mid forever. You want that? Have fun.
I think they already are. Soccer on TV today, most of it's already done because the U17 Men's World Cup is in Indonesia. FS1, FS2, you got to get up at either 4 or 7 a.m. Telemundo was at 7 a.m. Universo simulcast matches at 7, including England and Iran. FA Cup is on the Plus at 2:30 today. If you have DAZN in USA, UEFA Women's Champions League, I think you can catch that on the YouTube channel. Doubleheader at 12:45, doubleheader at 3, including Lindsay Horan and Lyon. And other than that, that's it for your live TV today. And guys, it sounds like a show. So who wants to send us home since you're both here and you made the duration today?
Do it, Jared.
Fine. Since neither of you will do it, I will. Tomorrow, busy show. Hopefully we'll have some news out of Chattanooga FC. We'll be on the 9 o'clock hour. Dylan Butler, the busiest man in the Northeast, hopefully joining us at 10 o'clock since he covered the Atlanta-Columbus match. We'll get his thoughts about what's going on in Major League Soccer. Bart coming on at 10:30. Probably reffing down here only because of all the ish that's happened in the last week. Bart, you're on notice. 10:30 on Friday. Dwayne Rollins from the 24th Minute joining us 10:15 on Friday morning to talk about everything north of the border as well. And apparently Chicago has doubled down, and the Chicago Fire have signed sporting director Georg Heitz and TD Sebastian Pelzer to contract extensions. Mazel tov. Good work.
Oof, that is. Man, you know what? Heart goes out to the people of Chicago, though, because imagine the Fire doing that. Just the Fire fans made the wish on the monkey paw. We wish they would just make a decision, make the decision on this front office, and they did. But the monkey paw curled when you said it.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the Bears are not going to get any better. So
no. It's
hey, at least the Cubs might be in on Shohei. Yeah,
really. Real quick note from SoccerX down in Miami. Apparently, MLS Commissioner Don Garber and Apple VP Eddie Q, quote, "We had more than 1 million viewers for the biggest games on Season Pass. Nobody expected that." So keep an eye out of stuff that's coming out of Miami and SoccerX as well. For Nick and for Jarrett, welcome back, Nick, first and foremost, and welcome back, Jarrett. For all of us here at SDH, we'll be back at it again tomorrow morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. Mucho plati, all played safe, and since it's the end of the show, it means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning, back in Atlanta, back at Office HD, because it'll be a very, very busy show. Thanks to Lucas Panzica for hanging out with us to talk Nashville and everything in the Eastern Conference. Play it safe. We'll see you tomorrow.